So what you do is watch television, where you sit with your tongue hanging out, basically watching programs. They're programming you, that's what it's for. And then after a while, you feel very tired, you go to bed. You don't even have opportunity to have an argument with your wife and kids, it's as bad as that. And what happens the next day is Tuesday. So Tuesday you get up, 6 o'clock in the morning, and you have your breakfast, and guess what, you go to work. And the same thing on and on until Friday. Now I find this is quite strange. And at the weekend what happens is you go shopping on Saturday, don't you? Maybe you go to the pub Friday and complain about everything. And then Sunday you just sort of chill out because you're half dead, because you've got to get bright and early for Monday, because you're paid for 8 hours to be on form. You know, you plug yourself into that system, and someone's turning the handle, around you go, and you're churning out something probably is of no use to you ever. In fact, it might be actually damaging people, but it gets you money, because you need money. Because you haven't got the money, you can't actually afford your car, and you need your car because you need to go to work, don't you? But of course, before you get your money, they take 25% of it away. In fact, when you buy your car, 20% that means basically you get no money. This is quite strange. My father come from south of the Thames. He was a painter and decorator. It was a well-esteemed job. Now, he didn't get paid much, but it was enough to keep the family on. And he worked 5 days a week for that, and I'm here, still alive. So it was successful. Nowadays, of course, we should be working, that was that was the beginning of last century. So by now, with all our technology and our advancements and all our efficiencies and all the things that we're all proud of, I don't know why, because we didn't invent it, what's happened is you'd expect people to be working 1 day a week, wouldn't you? Not 5 days down a week. Well, where's that? How come 5 days a week is that magic formula, and it doesn't matter how successful we are, what kind of supportive environment we live in, we're always working the same hours, and it gets worse. I know you all come here to be depressed, because the rest of the day will feel great after listening to me. What's happened is they've decided that, you know, women obviously clearly are forced in the home, in the kitchen, and they're having to look after the home, and it can be a pretty grim job, can't it? 'Cause, all the men disappear, and they're looking after a child that's not very stimulating, and there's not much stimulation in the evening, because when he comes back in the armchair, then goes to bed. So they said, well, we want some freedom here, and then so in come the politicians. Well, I've got an idea. I'll create a method that women can actually pay tax. Hey, then you've got double the amount of tax being paid. So they say, well, you're stuck at home and you're being oppressed by the old man that goes out and earns all the money and has good fun. You know, when you close the door and then the wailing child is behind you, you've got to deal with it today. You don't see him for the rest of the day. He comes back in the evening and goes, hello there, and clearly he's done sod all day, and but the money rolls in. But the woman at home, all she sees, understandably, is just work in the home. It's hard work. I am at home, I look after the home, it's hard work. The man's been at work, and he's been working himself to death out there. She don't know that, so they don't know and appreciate what each other are doing. You know, as far as it's concerned, just stays tidy all day, doesn't it? She stays smart in the morning, comes back smart in the evening. So, she's out of work now, so what would you do if you're an employer? Well, clearly they need an income per household. So they're now earning double per household, which is great when it comes to paying tax as you buy things, which should be illegal, of course. And so down goes the wages. And you know this, because you know, well, certainly in the UK, people say, I'm finding it very difficult to live. I say, well, why? You know, surely one at work, you should stay at home with the baby. It seems reasonable if he wants to go, vice versa. How can you be at work and look after a child? But you don't understand, they say to me. We can't earn the money. Oh, that's interesting. So my father, as a painter and decorator at the beginning of last century, got enough money to feed and clothe the family, only just, but he did. And now, God knows 100 years later or so, two people going to work in a highly civilised and technically able society can only just about afford to pay the gardener, the dog walker, the childminder, and all the other stuff, while they go to work, produce something that's probably useless to them, useless to humanity, and even if it was jolly useful, if they wanted to benefit from it, they'd have to buy it, which means paying another 20% on top of a tax on top of having a quarter of it taken away, just earning the money to get it. So it gets a bit silly. And that's something I just want to point out. I must tell you a little story here. Why I talk and why I talk. I say I carry a pack of cards in my pocket. And when I speak to people, someone that I reasonably trust, I'll take my cards out of my pocket, which are actually my morality, my thoughts, my ideas, and I'll spread them out. They're not secret. Before a trusty person. So I'll present to you my thoughts. Some of my thoughts, because I don't know you, and we can discuss them. It'd be nice if we got some feedback at some time. If you want to interject or add something or criticise something, do so, because this is the reason I'm here. Now, if you were to say, well, I don't know if that's right, you say about paying extra tax and all this kind of stuff, how about such and such, and also tell me more, then you would have given me some information. I'll pick up that card that I had, rub out what's on it, get my pen out, write in this new idea, which is brilliant, put it back down again, and when we all go home, back in your pocket, I go, I'm a better person, and if you do the same thing, you're a better person. So we can both benefit from that. But what I mustn't do is the same thing in front of an enemy. Because if you show your enemy your cards, as we know, you will lose. So you must understand the difference between what a friend is, an enemy is, and an unknown is. And then we can go forward in life. Now, my view is, although it's becoming politically incorrect and sensibly so, to say that I don't believe or trust politics. Now, I'm guessing, I don't know why I'm guessing, I won't make an assumption. I should ask the question, how many people here believe they live in a democratic system?
You are right. You are right.
Everyone, does anyone here have arms? Can you put your arms up if you have arms? I want that kind of showing and prove to me we have one man that has at least one arm. We have a few more.
I'm armed.
Okay, over this side, they are a bit shy. I know you're just smoking cigarettes, sorry. So it doesn't count. Where was I? Where was I?
Democracy.
The what?
Living in a democratic
Yeah,
society.
living in a democratic system. So obviously other people think this too. Now, how many here believe that politicians lie? Does anyone here? Whoa! So put your arms down. You're silly. You're embarrassed. None of you got 3 arms up, which is also dodgy. Clearly, you all think the politicians lie. You all say you're living in a democratic system, but you vote for them. Who voted? Who voted? Yeah, exactly. Precisely. No, I didn't. You voted, and you voted believing that you have some control, but you don't, do you? And I'll tell you a little open secret, because now you're my friend, and that is that when you vote, all you're doing is giving consent to a dictatorship. We know this. You know this. If you don't vote, you're not giving consent to dictatorship. As a result, so I don't vote, so I don't believe in lots of things that are done. But if I don't concede, they'll beat me up and send me to jail on certain sort of things. You know, I say, well, I'm not doing that, or I am doing that. They'll say, no, you can't. The law says it. Oh, I didn't vote. I didn't consent to that. It counts for nothing. That sounds like a dictatorship to me. And the idea is to divide people so that they will argue and believe these things. It's called critical theory. The idea is you look at both sides, you disambiguate it, so to speak. That's another word I should have used, and then you rebuild it into this story. So you get the story of the victim and the aggressor. Now, in this case, of course, women have got their men going out to work, as it was in the 50s, mostly, but women can go out to work. But they're often more prepared to be at home. That's still the case now. And so they had to invent the aggressor. Well, who was the aggressor? Well, you can't say it's your husband, can you? Because he's not. So you invent a patriarchy. So now you've got a feminism, which describes a political ideology that's got the word feminine, so people think it's something that's to do with females, and you talk about oppression. And on the other hand, you've got this patriarchy. The patriarchy is not defined as yet. It's just that person, that thing that's oppressing you. Now, if it was called something like, what can we say, something like Saturnatity or something like that, you might think they come from Saturn, or Satan, but they call it patriarchy. So patri means father, or man. So naturally the assumption is it's the men that are causing the oppression. So all you now have to do now is to map this belief in this God in the sky that's oppressing you, and map it on the human incarnates of God the oppressor himself, called men. And so now you create a load of lies. One lie is women earn less than men for doing the same job. Who believes that is totally untrue? Who believes that women earn less? Statistical fact. Okay? Why do you think that? Can you come forward? Because this is what I like to hear. Oh, a bigger step. No, come forward more. No, it's fine. What? Tell me about this statistical fact. Tell me what. Educate all of us.
What? So you don't know?
No, wait, look this way.
So women get paid less for doing the same job?
No, you said it's a statistical fact. Why do you think that?
Because it's advertised. It's
advertised?
registered by the British government who collect the statistics, the Bureau of Statistics,
Yeah.
who have released that they need to endorse women to get up into the upper echelons because women are being oppressed at the lower levels, being paid peanuts.
Whoa, stop. Okay, stop there.
It's called,
Yes, you're saying because the British government, which all know are totally corrupt, they lie, have got their statistics. I'm quite prepared to work with those. You're saying that statistics demonstrate what's right. They're oppressed. They're saying they're oppressed, and therefore, what was the rest? No, I'm not. No, that's your opinion. I mean, no, you said statistics. I'm after statistics.
Look at it another way. Right. Women have been oppressed for the last how many generations? They only gained the vote how many years ago?
Okay, right. Let's deal with that.
No, that's a fact, right? So,
okay.
Governments have had to apologise for slavery for the centuries.
Right.
Why have the governments never apologised for women's equality?
Listen, I'll tell you something. Don't go too fast. I stand up here a lot, and I've heard all this a lot. So, and I want to answer every one of your questions. Go for it. Yeah. Right. Women have the first bit was, if I miss a bit, don't. Remind me, because I just love this. And you're going to get back to me. This will be great. Women have not been oppressed over loads and loads of history by men. Women have been. Do you mind if I can't have? Wait.
Women have been owned by
No. Not your boy. That's not what you do here. I mean, I'm all for dialogue, but not at the same damn time. They're joint, and I can't separate. One brain, and that's it. Sorry.
But you do this for a living.
I don't do it for a living. Hey, do I? Come on. I don't do it for a living. I do this because I'm an idiot. Look, it's easy. Women. If what's the plural or singular of a male? It's called a man. Singular of a woman is called a woman. The plural of man is men. Plural of woman is woman. Let's say we got two men and they completely dominated and oppressed the whole of the world. Yeah? Now, you could quite justifiably say men dominate the world, but that's a ridiculous thing to say. And it's quite the same in this respect. Hang on a minute, I will at the end of this little section.
No, I need to stop you there because...
No, hang on, you haven't even got to the end of it yet.
All religious fraternities are based on men.
Right.
You're not invited to go to the Vatican, are you?
There's this chap saying that throughout eternity, men have dominated women, and women have been oppressed. Sorry, was it? I mean, correct me, I don't want to be your words.
Subjugated.
Yeah, subjugated is a great word. Yeah, by men. And I'd say, well, if I look back to like Industrial Revolution, and my history's not that good, I have to say. And you look back further than that, most people were peasants, and peasants live hand to mouth. Now they do anything to survive. I don't think that they haven't got that freedom of mind that we have now and that richness. We are now the most privileged, the white Western, the most privileged that mankind's ever been, as far as I'm aware, in history. I said I don't know about history, so maybe that's a load of garbage. You make up your own mind on that one. So, years ago, people were scraping, hunter-gathering and all this kind of stuff. Was there opportunity or benefit from any group of people of suppressing another group of people unless it was competition for food or water or vital things? Absolutely none whatsoever. Total waste. That is another lie that's been told to you. Now we can say women were oppressed years ago, and we almost certainly can say men were oppressed years ago, and they were oppressed by an elite. Those elite were a tiny percentage, but when you look at the way the feminism works, they always take these elite as a good example of how the monarch, which was usually a male, was so dominant over their females. You must watch BBC, and everyone trusts the BBC, and you've watched Upstairs, Downstairs, or Downton Abbey, or all that bollocks. Oh, excuse me, all that nonsense. And therefore, which teaches you these things that you never know. Those women lived the life of Riley. They actually married a rich guy so that they didn't have to work. I mean, I would do that. How many girls here would not want to be financed fabulously so they could do whatever they want? How many girls here don't want that? No, come on girls. How many feminists here? No, none. I'll get some. We want something exciting to happen. But the thing is, can you see? They're there with the small elite up there. Now, when it comes to jobs, which we were talking about, one reason men are, by the way, this was an average. I said for doing the same job. It's illegal in this country to pay someone less for doing the same job, okay, at that time. It's illegal. Now that happens almost certainly to women because people break the law. And there must be many women paid less than a man doing the same job. So they must go to the courts and get this sorted because it's, what can you do? Legislation, that's all you can do and respect it. But at the same time, there will be many women paid less than women for doing the same job. Ah, you never thought of that, did you? And there must be many men paid less than other men for doing the same job, and less than women doing the same job. See, the statistics are skewed, but the statistics you're talking about are of average income. Now, on average income, men earn more. No, they don't earn, they actually take more than women. And what do you think the reason might be? I want to engage you before I just give it. They work overtime. They do sickness. They despite they. Yeah, that's right. It's choices mainly. The men tend to do what men do, and they do the risky jobs, dirty jobs, or they just feel it's their job to generally speaking, instinctively, to provide and protect the family. And it's just the intelligence, intelligence, got nothing to do with it. Although there's a slight difference. Hang on a minute.
Saying that it's women's own fault because they're not going for the high-paid jobs.
No, wait. I'm not talking about fault here. What do you mean fault? Now that's a divisive. I believe you're a divisive person. I might be wrong. Why have you used the word fault? It's not their fault. In fact, it's their benefit because there's many reasons for women getting paid. Taking on average, because they tend to take on the responsibility for the children. They tend to respond more directly, and quite rightly too, because they're built for that. So women, no, they do. Now I'm going to shock. I'm going to shock you. I'm going to shock you. What I said about women and children.
I'm divided.
I say I believe. I don't know, you see. You may not be. You may want to prove differently. I'm quite happily to be proved wrong on that.
I would see myself as
okay, can we get off you? I'm going to give you something quite interesting. Women actually are more associated with their children. Do you not think that's right? Normal. Women will always be more. They give birth. They get pregnant. They get pregnant. Yeah, that's a stereotype that women get pregnant. Guys, this guy is saying, am I right? It's a stereotype that women get pregnant.
No.
Well, they're more associated with their children from its conception.
It's only because we are driven as men to act like men and teach our boys to be boys, right? Rather than teaching our boys to be men and treat women equally.
A certain amount of in that I'm empathetic with, and we can explore that. But the thing is that women do. When a child is born, the man does not lactate normally. Apparently some do, but they don't. And the lactation is there for a reason, isn't it? It's to feed the child. Yeah, go ahead. If I ever see you again, come back and we can take it further. Yeah. So the nurture of the child would die. Years ago, if the mother didn't produce milk, the child was wet nursed. They had another mother, and that was quite common in my parents' time. You know, God, I'm only 25. So that's necessary. The woman has an attachment for the child and will take that prime responsibility, while the man will be supplying. You're looking sceptical and supporting her. That's normal. Do you think that's not normal? It's normal. And I know it may be boring because it's so obvious, but not many people think this is. And so the woman will take the job that's more convenient for that, and they don't always pay the best. A woman have to have time off to have a baby and look after the baby. And if I'm an employer and I'm employing people, and some of those have families and children of their own, and I'm right on the edge regarding staying viable, am I going to take on anyone that's a risk for any reason whatsoever? No, I'm not going to. It's not right. Why should I jettison the livelihoods of my employees and myself for the sake of taking on someone that I know can be a threat to the viability of all these people, myself and my business. And their customers, apart from that, and their business hang off that. Why should I do that? Now, if someone comes into my interview room and they sit down in front of me, I call the interview room a prejudice and discrimination box. Now, everyone thinks prejudice and discrimination are bad things. But certainly, if I was to see someone dressed in a certain way and I associated that with someone that has hurt me or caused problems before, we don't have to find the media to get around this one, then you assume things about them. That's prejudging, that's prejudice, okay? And discrimination, yes, we discriminate all the time. We've got friends, we've got enemies, and we've got people we don't know. We've got people that look as if we get on with very well, people that don't, and we discriminate all the time. It's a natural way of survival. But when you go into this box here, this interview box, and everyone's been for an interview at some way or the other, if we have, let's say, an equality of legislation, which everyone believes, I've never heard anyone say anything against it, that anyone that wants to put themselves up to enter the box, providing it's feasible, can enter the box. So let's say, regardless of nationality, regardless of race, regardless of anything, providing you're human, let's assume, you could go into that box. When you get in there, of course you can't interview everyone on earth, can you? But within reason. When you get inside the box, there's someone sitting there and they're going to interview you. And when you come through, they're going to say, look at this person, what credentials do you have? Oh, I see, you've got some CV, so you did this, oh that's good. I'll write to the companies, get something, oh yeah, you actually did that, great. I believe you can. And next person comes in, not so good, I believe you can't. Or they come in, they sit down, ask questions, they say they've been a high-flying executive, and it sounds like they couldn't even clean the toilet. And I say to them, I don't know, I reckon that you're not going to do a good job. I've prejudged them, okay? And that's what you do in the box. Now, if someone comes in and says, oh yeah, but I'll have to have 9 months off, probably, in the next 3 years, 3 times, and then I'll have to go home early, and all this kind of stuff. And the other person comes in exactly the same, and they say, well, no, they say, well, no, I can give you full-time, I'm not married, no intention of marrying, and I live by myself, and I just love doing what this is. I'll take them, because they're lesser risk. Now, if the other person with their 9 months, hey, what else goes in 9 months pregnancy, comes in, and I know I'm going to lose them because they're going to get pregnant, never mind the social issues, but from the point of view of the business issue, the commercial implication, and the lives of the other people, I will do the right thing by taking the person that can fulfill that position fully for me and everyone else that support, and not go supporting their life choices. Because pregnancy is, hang on, I'll take it later, you're very, very patient so far, you're going to come at me sometime. Because getting pregnant is a life choice. Do you believe getting pregnant is a life choice? That's right. Okay, what's your question?
Well, I like to ask those questions because just because a woman is of childbearing age doesn't mean she has any intention of having children.
No, absolutely. 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 I know. But we've got a problem here. You ain't got proof they're not. So on probability's sake, and I agree with you totally. I'm not saying unempathetic with this. It's just horrible logical, view. If there's someone that there's a probability with, because nobody knows the future, and somebody that you believe there's no probability with, that person could die next week. You don't know. Then you go for the best probability. How are you going to answer to your boss when you take someone on? They say he's off with freaking heart problem. So yeah, he said that in the interview. Your boss go, out you go. You don't take people on with a heart problem. What's wrong with the other person? I don't know, I just didn't like him much. It's not going to work. You've got to work on reality as best you can, and they work, to be more logical on that. And do you want to come back on that? Oh, okay. I'll tell you something interesting. That guy that walked away, unfortunately, has walked away. I wish he was here. Because when you do comparisons of the average income of women compared with men, he wasn't here before, as opposed to equal money for doing the same job, there's a difference. On average income, women do it they take less because they tend not to do risky jobs and all this kind of thing, and tend to put their life choices to put their family first. I think that's honourable. The feminists don't think so. They think that's most dishonourable to put your family first. But I'm an anti-feminist, you see, so naturally it shows it this way. But if you, all right, well, clearly we have other understandings. And by the way, when you look around you, there will be men and women that are feminists. Because feminism has got nothing to do with women as such. It's a political ideology. And you will see here a very extreme feminist men. Whoa, that's what, I love it. It always gets rid of people. Now, the point is the point that we were getting back to is going equal pay and all this kind of stuff. Sorry, I lost. I'm trying my best to get back on track. You're new. Come forward. I'll move on to a different subject. Sorry, can you stand here so I can hear?
My English is not very well. I'm from the Netherlands.
Well, my English is not very good. I come from London. Yeah. You can still. People from Netherlands are extremely intelligent people and can speak very good English, and they always claim they can't. So you can ask a question. And you can speak better English.
I don't have a question.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I was just enjoying your...
Oh, okay. Oh. Come forward and give me more.
Do you have the same in Holland?
No,
Where you're allowed to speak in public on any subject?
No, well, I'll tell you something interesting. If I was to go to Sweden, and I was to have this conversation, then I'd be booed off of here. In fact, we were talking a couple of weeks ago. There was some Norwegian men in the morning. We were talking. They were saying there's no such thing as equality over there. You know, if you're male, you just get a bad deal. You know, due to their socialistic attitude. And in the afternoon, it was like at the stage. It wasn't. A couple of girls come along, youngish girls, and they said, "Oh, of course, in Norway, it was Norway, wasn't it? Norway." They said, "I think it's Norway." They said, "We have complete equality." So we thought, "Oh, I've got to go for that." You know, I love that. Equality comes in all forms. I'll explain in a minute. And they said, for instance, if they go for a job and there's 4 men in the job, I think it's 4. They said they have to take a woman. And I said, "Oh, that's her. So if I go along for that job, I won't get the job because I'm a man. If I go along and I'm in possession of a vagina at the time, then I will actually get that job." I said, "That don't sound like equality." And she said, "Well, of course it's equality because there's more men than women." And that's the way she saw it. Now, going back to my box, by the way, if you were to go present yourself for an interview, let's say for a hod carrier, let's say not hod carriers, years ago, big Irish guys, prejudice, used to carry, they were big, powerful people, come over here and they'd carry bricks in boxes on their shoulders to the bricklayer, who was probably Irish, lay the bricks. It's called a hod, so it's a hod carrier. So to be a hod carrier, something none of them could do. I mean, you have to be really strong and all this kind of stuff. If you're interviewing for a hod carrier and you get a load of people in there and they're completely mixed, high up rails, then the chances of getting it out the other end doing the job, except the chance of getting a woman is very, 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 very low. I don't think many women would present themselves sensibly. I wouldn't, but most women wouldn't. But on the outside, you would. Let's imagine you had a woman that was there, unbelievable. You do get the exception, and she actually was terrific, and she was taken on for the job. When you look in the workplace and you see that there's 20 men and 1 woman, you can't say that the woman is oppressed or the men are dominating. You can't say that in that particular role, women are underrepresented. No, they're not. They are appropriately represented in that particular job. If you look for nursing, you'll see the opposite. But isn't it funny? When it comes to a job that the feminists want to promote, to kick men out of, they'll say men are dominating women. But it doesn't seem to happen when it comes to digging up roads at 10 o'clock at night on the motorway. I haven't seen 1 woman doing it, and funny enough, I haven't seen many men doing it that are much younger than me. They're all old men, they need the money. So that's appropriately represented for that job. But the feminists will actually look at the outcome, opportunity one side of the box, outcome the other side, and they will pick on the ones that they want to put women in, typically science, technology, engineering and maths, STEM subjects, and they will say women are, what's the word, they'll present them as victims. They'll say it's dominated by men and women are underrepresented. So they go to the government and they say, I have statistics here to show that women are underrepresented, and this is not fair. This is not fair. Whatever fairness means. I'll talk about all this if I can later on. And the government say, oh yeah, because they're pressurised by the feminist lobby, because they control votes. And so they put through legislation. And they'll say that the new word is, to me, parity, gender parity. What does parity mean? It means pair, two, doesn't it? So if you have gender parity, that means if you have gender parity in the workplace, for any given job, or maybe for any given workplace, however you want to take the slice, they're saying you need an equal number of men and women. So the only way you can get that is to promote women. And if they don't present themselves, or if they come and they're not up to it, it means you've got to give them the bloody job anyway. And this would be ridiculous. Oh, it's good. Hang on a minute.
Women should promote themselves. Really.
I know.
Yes,
I know. And most men I know are totally in empathy with what the feminists are saying they want. If you want liberty and freedom, and you want to demonstrate your abilities and benefit from that in your own right, do it. But it means you'll be competing against other women and other men, because there's no one else human around to compete against. And so when you're in the workplace and you see someone is actually discriminating against someone for their race or whatever, they might have a good reason to take offence about that. But frankly, you can't change people's opinions. If it was political that you only take blacks on or whites on or something like that, then you'd have a problem. And in some countries it is political. But other than that, yes, you stand on your own merit. But a person that stands on their own merit and free bears full responsibility for their life. And unfortunately, the feminists nowadays is victim feminism, where they present the woman as a victim and say you are being victimised as a feminist, and it's actually men as well, and therefore you deserve a leg up. And I was on the train coming down here today, and on the advertising on there, it said Chief Executive, Project Manager, Senior Analyst or something like that, and it said Warwick University Engineering Department, and there was a picture, why you need a picture of a girl standing there like that with a commanding pose, which everyone knows is a classic commanding pose. It is part of the government drive to push women into places they really don't want to be. They'll fail, and it's setting them up to fail. If they push men into the positions, it'll set them up to foul, and it's not right. Feminism is bad for women, feminism is bad for men, feminism is bad for culture, and feminism and this kind of cultural Marxism has destroyed, not destroying, destroyed the West. And the only way to turn against it and fight it is to actually don't consent. Think for yourself, behave as an individual, act with self-confidence, don't be herded, don't go for collectivism, it will kill you. That will be the end of my little talk today, because I'm running out of voice, and I'll offer someone else the opportunity. Thank you.